All right, let's dive into this surprisingly complex story behind something most of us use every single day, the humble pencil. It's an incredible journey of precision engineering that transforms a simple piece of wood into this amazing tool for creation.
I mean, really, have you ever stopped to think about it? You pick one up, it seems so simple, right? Wood, graphite, a little eraser on the end, but the process to get it from a massive tree in a forest all the way to your desk, well, it's packed with fascinating, super intricate steps. We're going to break it all down right now.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to follow a pencil's life through 4 key stages. We'll start in the forest, then see how they build the core, then watch it get its final shape, and finally, we'll check out all those important finishing touches. Let's get to it.
Now, our story kicks off, you guessed it, with a tree. But you can't just use any old tree. The whole thing starts with a very specific kind of wood that has to be perfectly prepped before it can even dream of becoming a pencil.
That's right, incense cedar is the star of the show. Why? Because it has this beautiful, fine, straight grain that sharpens so smoothly without splintering. So these logs get hauled to a sawmill and cut into big, rough blocks they call pencil stock. Then they're carefully dried in a kiln to get the moisture level just right. This is absolutely critical to make sure the wood doesn't warp or crack in the machines later on.
Okay, so from those big pieces of stock, they cut smaller pencil blocks. And then comes a really smart bit of engineering. They slice these blocks into thin little pencil slats using specially designed super thin circular saws. The reason they're so thin is to minimize how much wood gets turned into sawdust. It's all about wasting as little of this precious wood as possible.
Now, before these slats move on, they get a little spot treatment. They're soaked in wax and stain. This gives the wood that nice uniform color, but way more importantly, it makes it easier to machine. And here's the key. It's what gives you that smooth, satisfying feeling when you sharpen the pencil later. You know what I'm talking about? That perfect spiral of wood? Yeah, it all starts right here.
All right, let's get to the heart of the pencil. This is where we move from just being a piece of wood to becoming something that can actually write. And it's all thanks to the ingenious pencil sandwich.
It really boils down to 2 main ingredients. On one side, you've got our treated cedar slat, which now has a set of perfect little grooves cut into it. And on the other side, you've got the writing core. We all call it lead, but there's actually 0 lead in it. It's a carefully crafted mixture of graphite and clay. And this just shows you the simple genius of the whole operation. A machine takes one of those grooved slats, and then it carefully places the fragile graphite cores right into each groove. Then, a second groove slat gets a coat of glue and is placed right on top, locking that graphite safely inside. How clever is that? This whole sandwich-making process is done by a machine with the perfect name, a lead layer. Now, once these sandwiches are put together, they're not done yet. They get clamped together under a whole lot of pressure and are set aside so the glue can dry completely, forming a rock-solid bond. So now we've got this flat, rectangular block of wood, kind of like a Kit Kat bar, but with graphite inside. The big question is, how in the world do you turn that into the classic hexagonal pencil we all recognize? This all happens inside a machine called a shaper. First, it trims the ends of the sandwich so every single pencil is the exact same length. Then, super high-speed cutters go to work, carving away the wood from both the top and the bottom at the same time to create that final shape, whether it's hexagonal, round, or even triangular. And right here is where a super important quality check happens. As the individual pencils are cut free from that sandwich, they're inspected. Any pencil with the lead that's even slightly off-center or with any chips in the wood gets tossed out immediately. You know why? Because an off-center lead is the reason a cheap pencil keeps breaking in the sharpener. Only the perfect ones get to move on.
Okay, we've got a perfectly shaped but kind of plain-looking raw pencil. So in this final stage, we're going to see how it gets its color, its brand name, and of course, its trusty eraser. This is where the pencil really gets its personality.
First things first, paint. And listen, we are not talking about a quick single coat here. To get that deep, glossy, beautiful finish on a really good pencil, it takes a surprising amount of work. So take a guess. How many layers of lacquer do you think they put on?
Get this, anywhere from 4 to 10 separate coats of lacquer. I know, right? I never would have guessed that many. Each coat has to be dried before the next one is applied, which is how they build up that durable, shiny finish and give the color that real depth. It's pretty amazing.
The final steps happen on the assembly line, and they happen fast. Boom, the brand name gets stamped on with foil.
Whir, a little recess is cut into the end for the ferrule. Pop, the eraser is inserted. And finally, crimp. The ferrule is squeezed on tight, holding everything together.
And you know that little metal ring, the ferrule? It seems like such a small part, but it's so important it gets its own dedicated machine. A special tipping machine has just one job, to perfectly attach that ferrule and an eraser onto the end of every single pencil.
And there you have it, the whole incredible journey, from a tall incense cedar tree to pencil stock to thin slats, which become a sandwich, which then gets shaped and finally painted and finished into the tool we use all the time without a second thought.
So the next time you pick up a pencil, maybe just take a second to look at it. Think about the incredible journey it took, from a specific tree, through a brilliant sandwich-making process, to a perfectly finished tool sitting in your hand. It's really a small marvel of manufacturing that we just take for granted.